And you're still watching Jakarta Movers and Shakers. Now, food insecurity and food waste are two of the most pressing societal and environmental issues of our time. To help solve this issue, an NGO by the name of Scholars of Sustenance, or SOS, is providing logistics and programs to manage surplus and waste. Now, Metro TV's Sara talked to the founder and executive director of SOS to discuss more on how to create greater awareness and end the cycle of food wasting.
Cities that has a large number or experience a rising number of food and beverages and tourism businesses also find themselves facing an issue of food waste. When food is wasted, so are all of the resources used to grow and deliver the food to our tables, as well as to dispose it later on. This increases our carbon footprint and also contribute to global warming and climate change. According to a study conducted by the Economist Intelligence Unit, Indonesia is said to be the world's second largest food waster, throwing away around 13 million tons of food every year, food that can roughly feed 28 million people. Therefore, we now often hear the term food rescue operation. But to understand more on how this effort can help overcome the said problem, we have with us today the founder of Scholars of Sustenance, or SOS, Bo Holmgreen. Hello, Bo. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Bo, for joining us and doing this interview with us. So, Bo, can you please tell us the history or story behind Scholars of Sustenance, or SOS?
Yes, of course. And it's quite simple because we have a worldwide problem. I was doing some mathematical optimization with software for most of my life. And one day I'm sitting. It was in Thailand, though, because we started SOS in Thailand, and I was sitting in a big hotel seeing the incredible food waste. And that just made me think that there has to be something we can do here for the hungry, but also for the incredible waste going to the landfills. And in Thailand, it's a huge problem. Here, it's even bigger because it is number two, as you say, in Indonesia in throwing away food. But it's very different from the Western side of the world, where 1/3 of the food is thrown away everywhere. But here it is not by individuals as it is in Europe and America. Here it is by commercial entities like hotels and supermarkets and so on. So we very quickly focused on that. But if you only remember one thing from this, it's 10-7-1. And that's really the important part, right? 10-7-1, because this world produces enough food for 10 billion people every day. And we are 7 billion or 7.8 billion people on the globe, right? So you would think that there would be plenty of food to go around for everybody and so on. Yet 1 billion of us goes to bed hungry every night. And that is a shame when we have so much food. So we don't actually have a supply problem, more of a logistics problem, a distribution problem. And that is what SOS was created to help with. So optimizing by getting the surplus foods that otherwise goes to the landfill and creates methane gases and so on, quickly rescue it with our cool chain technology, our trucks and so on, and get it into the mouths of those who need it. That's really what it's all about.
And Bo, can you please tell us about SOS's mission and how does it actually operate?
Yes, everybody has to have a slogan, right? Yours is knowledge to elevate. And we have one called, it's in our logo, feeding the mind. And that really has to do with the two pillars of everything, right? Make people not have to waste all their time and energy on finding food, and then get education so they can move on to better things, right? So the mission clearly is to capture all this food that otherwise is thrown away. A lot of people says, oh, don't give people fish, you need to teach them how to fish. And that is true. However, we say, wait, we have so much fish already out of the water. Should we maybe eat that first? And it's not just fish, of course, it's every kind of food. You wouldn't believe the kind of things that we're able to rescue from people. Supermarkets and hotels, of course, are amazing. So we have a mission to rescue food and be good to the environment, but it has changed now temporarily because of COVID. COVID threw us all for a loop, right? And we basically had to just figure another way to do things. So now we are a mass feeding organization. So we did in Bali last year alone, we did 1.5 million meals, in Thailand 6 million meals, and we're going to do even more. Our goal for all of SOS is 25 million meals by 2025. and we've already done 15. So I think we're okay. We're going to meet it and blow it away.
And how did you get, the hotels and all of these businesses to jump on board and giving you the leftover food?
Yes, that was a big challenge in the beginning because they all looked at us and said, you're going to go down on the street corner and sell it to somebody, or you're going to poison somebody. They're going to come back to Horn to sue the hotel or something, right? So it was quite a struggle in the beginning. But we were successful because we were focused. We could prove to everybody that we lifted out of one side of the equation and into another logistic system. Everything is very safe, and we run it as a business. And that's that's a very important step, right? We are really taking care of this problem with a very professional set of rules. Food safety has to be number one, right? So we have to make sure all this food goes out, and also in the beginning, they just wanted to give us bread, maybe a few potatoes and rice and so on, but we need nutritious food. This is to help the immune systems against the virus and so on, right? So we really need to serve nutritious meals.
And what are the challenges that are being faced now? Because you mentioned that it was at the beginning for the getting the businesses to jump on board and to cooperate with SOS. But what about the challenges now? Are people already aware about food waste and how it can actually harm the society and also the environment?
No, people are not really fully aware of the incredible waste. So a part of our mission is to educate, but that's not easily done. People will always be throwing away. The challenges right now is about the tourism industry. We operate in two islands that are very hard hit, Phuket in Thailand and here in Bali. And it is just sad to see, 80% of the population was probably working in tourism related jobs, and 80% of those jobs have easily evaporated. The other thing was that our supermarket food dropped 3%, but our hotel food dropped to zero. Overnight, we basically lost all the hotel food here in Bali. It was very, very sad. So now we've had to scramble. We're re-educating ourselves. We are also getting different donors. So we have some very large food manufacturers and transporters and so on that have stepped in and is now donating food and money and so on. So it's a very different world now than it was before.
What are the future plans? Any future projects or expansions? Because now you are mostly focused in Bali and conducting the mission in Bali. But as we all know, Indonesia is a very large and also the largest archipelago in the world, with many cities facing similar problems, are probably facing even much more problems in the food waste sector. Can you please tell us the future prospects for SOS?
Well, yes, we do have very big plans. And of course, it's all about expansion. We are, for instance, working with a global food banking network in America to see if we can do something with traditional food banking, which is different from the fresh food rescue that we traditionally have done. But building one rescue center or food banking center that will go to wherever there is a disaster, that is easier in a little country. But in Indonesia, there are disasters everywhere. It is 17,000 islands. Logistically, it is very difficult. But we are getting there. And I think food banking is a major mission. But another one is simply expanding what we do now, which is probably 50% traditional food banking, 50% food rescue. And Java is our first target. We are already next month doing distributions to Java. We have plans for Yogyakarta and so on. So and we know that there is unlimited potential. I mean, finding people in need of nutrition is not difficult at all. So big plans for expansion, but of course for that we need local community support, and that's where we started in Bali, simply because we are based on the hospitality industry, the tourism. There are more hotels and so on, and that was a great opportunity. And we were doing great with all the big hotels here until COVID hit, and sadly they all had to go on a break. But it'll come back, and then we will come back to our main mission.
And speaking of support, you mentioned about the local communities supporting the cause SOS is fighting for. What about the government? And have you gained any support from the local governments or local communities?
You're breaking up a bit, but I think about support from government and so on, we have to say it's been a little slow in coming because I think maybe we're not close enough to the headquarters of the government. We're in Bali, the vacation place. But we get currently around 8% of the food from the various government agencies, and the rest of it is either from our own purchases or from other donors and so on. And that is something that could vastly expand, because we are now the experts, right? We got the cool chain technology, we got cooling trucks, we got food hygienists, we got all the staff on board to expand this operation with food safety and logistics. I mean, we race up into the mountains of mountain villages. We have found that the need now has changed, and probably the low-income areas in Denpasar are harder hit because of the lack of jobs and lack of cooking equipment and so on. So we spend a lot of time in there, and for that, we could definitely need a boost from larger organizations.
Thank you very much, Bo, for being with us. And thank you for all your efforts. And of course, best of luck for the future projects and plans to come for SOS.
Pleasure.
Thank you.